Okay, my friends, I have something. It's just a question. I just think it should be tested. They're talking about aging of the astronauts and why are they aging in space. Their stem cells are not are seem to be aging faster than they should be, and it's because they're in space, they claim. Now, that could be very well be true just because they're in space. However, what is in their microbiome? Everything that happens in your body is chemistry. If the microbiome is being changed, I don't know why, but it could have something to do with space, the environment, the pressure, the food, whatever is going on there. They should get a good background of what's supposed to be in the human body and find out what these people have in them. Make sure it's right. Because if their bacteria is wrong, I don't care what they do. They're going to age faster, or they're going to get sick, or all kinds of things can happen. But everything that happens to you, 100% of biological action, 100% is due to bacterial enzymes. So you have to have the bacteria to create the enzyme to do the chemistry. The bacteria, they should be able to test some way. I know they can do it. Fecal swab would be the easiest thing in my mind, but they have to have a way of either taking a photo of it or whatever to spectroscopy to see what's in there and the quantities and so forth, and relate it to a regular database of healthy people or people that are not in space. Let's say, put it that way. I don't know if they're healthy or not. I don't know if there's other issues that they're having. I could understand where some bacteria may not feel good in a different environment like that. I don't know. They must be somewhat under the similar pressure that you have on Earth, I would assume. I don't know. At this point, it's all up for grabs. But the first thing you should do is test the bacteria and make sure that their enzymes are there to do the job of creating the chemistry to protect them. Numero uno. That's the first thing they should test for, and it's very simple to do. Okay, my friends, I just got this. It came out, space flight accelerates aging of human stem cells, study finds. Well, they also apparently found that it increases problems with everything, gives them leaky gut and all kinds of problems. And they don't really know how to address this. It's signs of aging and the telomeres, which are these little balls at the end of every chromosome strain, and they break, and as they get smaller and smaller, you get older and older, basically, is what they say. I don't know if that's true. But anyway, they really don't know that much about this, but they are, one thing they do know is they have problems in their gut. And that's where I go every single time. So I started digging in deeper, and I found out they're not treating it the way it should be treated. All right, there's mitochondrial dysfunction, nanobioreactors, whatever that stuff is, chronic inflammation they're having. There's all kinds of problems. Experimental platforms placed on SpaceX International Space Station resupply mission spent 32 to 45 days. The effects on the cells were remarkable with several key findings. Almost all of these cells had some kind of an issue. Now, how did they, were they in some kind of fluids? It appears they're AI-driven nanobioreactors. They must have put them inside of some kind of thing like that and monitored them. Hold on. All right, I got to be honest with you. I do not understand this, but as much as I can get out of it is that it sounds to me like they're irradiating and trying to destroy any bacteria that might be within these cells. Now, there must be some frequency of like this 80 CGY prior. Anyway, it says here, CD34 bone marrow stromal cells were either seeded directly into the nanobioreactor. That's that little device they made. It's like a sponge. Following magnetic bead selection or irradiation. at 80, whatever that is, prior to seeding into the nanobioreactor. So they're seeding means just to put them in there to see if they'll grow, apparently. And they were irradiated before they went in there. Now, they went in there as cells, it sounds to me. Bacteria is different. Bacteria cannot withstand certain types of radiation and so forth. Just for a little clarity, I was talking about CD34 cells. They're a type of hematopoietic stem cell, that means blood stem cell, which are the progenitor. They start, the starting cell that give rise to all blood cell types. All blood cell types. That's what they're saying, white, red, the whole 9 yards. White blood cells and platelets. Red blood cells, all of them. They're identified by the presence of this CD34 protein. All proteins come from ribosomes. Ribosomes only come from bacteria. So if you don't have the right bacteria, you're not going to get the right protein, or you're not going to get enough of it. So they are identified by the presence of CD34 protein from an enzyme on their cell surface. All right, that's what identifies, your body identifies those. So you have to have the correct enzyme making that protein, CD34 protein. All right, some things to consider is this is got to hook up with blood cells. The cell surface is expressed on various types of cells, including hemopoietic stem cells. But you have to be able to, they have to be able to adhere like dipoles. Dipole molecular moments will make them glue together. All right, if they need to glue together, they have to be able to identify each other and glue together. And that's what enzymes do, is they break them down so quick that they can get them into a configuration where they'll work together. If you didn't have the enzymes, it's just not going to happen. So the CD34 is a single-pass transmembrane protein. Proteins are made from bacteria, which create the ribosome. All right, so it's a single-pass transmembrane protein, extracellular domain, highly glycosylated, contains several repeating motifs, including cysteine-rich globular domain and a juxtamembrane domain. All of these things are regulated by enzymes. Every single time there's a chemical reaction, it basically requires an enzyme. I mean, 100% of everything that happens in your body, and so much is happening per second. It's beyond the calculation of anything that I could think of that could possibly calculate how much information and bodily activity goes on in a person's body every single second. Every second. You see, this is all this half-life stuff I'm talking about. It says, without enzymes, a biological reaction essential to life takes 2.3 billion years to do all that chemistry. Now, this guy discovered, he had discovered one that took 78 million years. All right, in 1995, reported without a particular enzyme, and the only way you get the enzyme is the bacteria. A biological transformation he deemed absolutely essential in creating the building blocks of DNA, which are proteins, and RNA would take 78 million years. Without the enzyme, you have to have the enzyme. You can't get the enzyme without the bacteria. Now we found a reaction that's, again, in the absence of an enzyme, 30 times slower than that. Its half-life, and that's the half-life I've been talking about, the time it takes for half the substance to be consumed is 2.3 billion years. They say it's about half the age of the Earth. Well, I don't go along with that, but I go along with the other part. Enzymes can make that reaction happen in milliseconds. Done. 2.3 billion years? I don't think so. Done. And so enzymes are the key to life. I mean, they are what life runs on, is enzymes. Without them, you're done. You fall over dead, done. See you later. All right, they're doing some sophisticated tests here. All I'm saying is check the bacterial levels and find out, are they missing something? Is something being damaged up there? Can it be supplemented? Can it be replaced? And they're getting probiotics, it says, but they're not soil-based probiotics, which, as far as I know right now, soil-based probiotics have an encapsulation around like a seed. It's like a seed. And it goes through your digestive system into your gut like a seed would, and then in there it opens up and you get that bacteria from soil-based probiotics, which is different than the other kind of probiotics, which a lot of times don't make it through the acids. It's a very harsh environment in the stomach. Now, they've done something here. They made this device, it looks like. I looked into this and I really can't understand how it works, but I see this blue and white. It looks to me like they're running fluids through whatever this is, I don't know, whatever they got going on here. But they're looking for mitochondria dysfunction and telomeres and chronic inflammation and stem cell exhaustion. Are they getting fluids in here, which would be like the lymph fluids, which carry all the enzymes and the sarcomeres, enzymes and the ribosomes. If you don't have the enzymes and the ribosomes, I don't know what they expect to see happen here, because it's not going to be right. You have to supplement them with enzymes. Now, are they doing that? I don't know. They can't really just supplement them with enzymes. It should be, in a living creature, is when you get those enzymes secreted according to what your needs are. Are they doing that somehow? I don't see how they could. But what are they testing for? I would love to speak to somebody about this, because let me show you why I'm making these statements. All right, here it is right here. Bacteria act as living factories to produce the enzymes. How bacteria produce the enzymes? They produce, there's 75,000 of them, different types. They're very specific, and they do a specific job in the body. And they break down foods specifically. They attack invaders specifically. That's why when you get immune, it's very specific. And I'll show you how specific it gets. It's a program, very specific. So we know that bacteria create the enzyme. How does it done? First it creates a ribosome, and the ribosome goes out, and when it gets triggered, it creates the enzyme. Now, you see the little fuzzy guy bacteria? Well, here he is here. And he's squirting out these polypeptide chains, protein chains. And they are literally almost identical to this. They're magnetic chains, and they click to each other in a sequence to create a program, an extremely elegant program, extremely elegant. And they squirt them out of here, and they're called ribosomes. And they consist of these little balls going in there, programming the messenger RNA. That snips into the DNA and makes you immune. From then on in, if somebody comes in that looks like this, and your immune system is sniffing around for this and it sees it, it's going to kill it. So you're good to go. If this thing comes in and you don't have the sniffer to sniff it out, it comes in and starts attacking you at weak points. All right, that's when you have leaky junctions instead of tight junctions. It can get through your membranes. And that's what's happened to these astronauts. And I think it's got something to do with their bacterial. This bacteria is not creating the proteins it needs to create to keep them perfectly healthy. Because these are the things that break down the foods. Now, I know they're also having gastrointestinal problems. That's the key right there. If you don't get that under control, you're not going to be healthy. I don't care whether you're here on Earth or up there. Something's causing their gut distress. And it might be as simple as taking a quick, well, I'm not going to recommend or even talk about what can be done. I like soil-based probiotics. I believe those get to where you got to get to. And the other ones do, as far as I'm concerned, may not. It's just speculation. But I'm just trying to throw things out there so that we can speculate on what the other possibilities are. Right? Because once that thing shoots out an enzyme or a ribosome, here's a ribosome right here. Some trigger hits it. Whatever that is, I don't know. But it opens up, and you can have, in these little balls here, you can have millions, literally millions of those little balls in one single human cell. And they're in every cell. They fill every cell up with these things, and they kill anything that tries to get in to damage that cell. That's what they're there for. They're there as protectors. They're armies. They're armies ready to attack, and they're also ready to go out and consume food that comes down. And they're also ready to be dispatched to clean up the trash that's, dead cells and everything else, carry it over to the lymph nodes, flush it out of the system. This is the most cooperative system you can ever imagine. So let's get to the point where the ribosome comes in, it gets triggered. The sheath comes off, it goes like this. Now, if it's extremely exotic, it's an enzyme. If it's, let me put it this way. If it's got the right chemistry, and normally they're very exotic, and they attack things and break them down, kill things, do all that. Proteins, on the other hand, are they enzymes? Well, yes and no. Proteins build things. They come from the same source, from ribosomes. They unsheath, and instead of doing this, they do that. And these build up things, bones and muscles and eyeballs and all that stuff. And these go through and destroy things. Now, you can get some of this in you from bad bacteria that shoot out some ribosomes that have the really bad stuff in them. And that enzyme will attack you. All right, that's when you get attacked. That's a bad enzyme. You can just call it a virus. All right, so that would be a virus attacking you. Normally an enzyme is going to break down your food and do all the good things for you. But just like anything in life, there's good ones and there's bad ones. And this is how exotic an enzyme can be. And every one of these little spots is called a dipole molecular moment. I would call it that anyway, because it's a different polarity in each one of these little reds and blues and so forth throughout this whole thing. And they're going to have a zone around it, and a zone around this, and a zone around that, because of the fields that they create. And something is going to come into this with its own fields. And if it doesn't match, it just keeps going. If it matches, it clicks, and then it goes bang, done. It destroys it. I mean, so fast, it's just unbelievable. They say, and again, I can't confirm this, but they say that the only reason these things slow down is because they can't get to the substrate fast enough. If they can go, they go just eat everything up instantaneously. Usually they take a little bit of time to get through, but I'm talking not much. They just nibble away, and the stuff goes away and changes. And that's what an enzyme does. It's a destroyer. It's literally the destroyer. And a protein is a building block. Makes tendons and muscles and bones and all the stuff for your structural components. This rips everything apart so that you can use it to make your structural components. Basically, that's how it works. All right, here's what I'm going to ask, and here's what I'm going to recommend, is that we get a fecal swab of what their microbiota is like prior to going to space, and then how long does it take them to develop these issues, which is bloating, constipation, wet burps, all this GI issues. They're saying it's due to microgravity effects on the digestive fluids and lack of gravity to separate solids, liquids, and gases. Well, microgravity also alters the gut microbiome. That's the key. The microbiome. What bacteria don't you have? It reduces intestinal barrier function, leading to leaky gut. That's a product of the enzymes. It can be exacerbated by factors like stress and changes in diet. Well, they're exposed to astronauts to cosmic radiation. That's another thing. That's not good. Cosmic radiation kills bacteria. It may cause permanent damage to the GI tissues. Not necessarily to GI tissues, to the bacteria that's in there, because they support those tissues. And increase tumor risk. Well, this is something we should look into. They're going to go to space. They better figure out how to do it safe. You know, I was just looking through what they were saying the effects of the research are going to be. Well, I'm going to tell you something. They don't care about actual true research. Just looking for money. Speaking to reporters stateside, Clark emphasized massive budget cuts to science programs announced by President will cripple important research. It's going to be disastrous if this continues. Major U.S. institutions typically dominate the Nobel Science Prize due largely to U.S. long-standing investments in basic science and academic freedoms. Well, no, it's dominance to keep everything down, and they rise to the top because they are considered to be the experts. And they don't take into account, they're looking for Nobel Prize in physics and so forth. Let me show you something. How about accelerating light? How about accelerating light? That's light from a red pulsed laser, just beginning to accelerate. Here it is in full acceleration. It explodes at the venturi, creating fission and then fusion, because these particles right here are the photons. They're black and white, glued together, and when they hit the venturi, they exploded. And the black came away from the white, and all we had was white, and then the black reattached. These are Higgs fields. That's a Nobel Prize as far as I'm concerned. Why isn't that part of even examined? It's refused to be examined. That's why they take all these prizes. They haven't done anything special that I can see. Even the biology for curing cancer and so forth. All they did was come up with these T-reg cells. Well, inside the T-reg cells are the bacteria and the enzymes and the ribosomes. I didn't hear anything about that. Well, maybe, but I didn't hear it. So as far as these Nobel Prizes are, they're just things, as far as I'm concerned, they're giving them to their friends and everybody gets a little something and life goes on. Slowly. All right, I just wanted to say something. They might want to just give it a try. Soil-based bacteria, I don't think there's any issue with it. They say astronauts have been found to take specially formulated freeze-dried probiotics, but not probiotics sourced from the soil, directly from the soil. Specific conditions of spaceflight after the human gut alter the human gut microbiome, and scientists are researching how probiotic supplementation can counteract these effects. First of all, they got to find out what is it missing, what bacteria are missing. Is there a bacterial upset, and which ones do they have to supplement or figure out something, the enzymes, because they create the enzymes. It's as simple as that. That's where the enzymes come from. Now, I would say soil-based might be worth a try. I don't think it's, I've been taking them for 10 years, and I take them twice a day, and they've worked out well for me. So, and I had no other people that take them. One guy was really deathly ill. I mean, deathly ill. And they told him he might not recover. And he started taking these soil-based probiotics, and within 2 weeks he was doing okay. And the beauty of these things is the enzymes work very, very fast, but they also go away pretty quick too. That's why I take them twice a day. Sometimes you might have to take them 3 times a day, and they're not cheap. But they're, health is health. So far, in the 10 years I've been taking them, I hadn't had any illness whatsoever. And I'm not just saying you should take something or don't take it, but that's my experience. And if somebody has been taking soil-based, now, not just probiotics, not just yogurt, not just this and that, you got to get these things down to where they belong, and these have a seed around them, and they can weather the storm in the acid of the stomach. Now, the astronauts don't take soil-based. I mean, I don't know if it can be harmful to give it a try, but who knows? Anyway, that's all I have to say about that, my friends. All right, Space Cadets, we'll talk later. Okay, so what am I recommending? Well, we create a fecal database, and it's just got to be done in the general population to see people that are healthy and not healthy. And that's all you have to do is put in, figure out what they have in their bodies and what kind of issues they have. That's all. No special data, and if it could be done, it might be able to be done with just a cell phone picture of the poop. We got to work on that, but I think it can be done, spectroscopy. Now, and then you would cross-reference any diseases to the bacteria, because these are we want to identify bacteria. Bacteria create the enzymes. No bacteria, no enzymes, no enzymes, no chemistry, you are sick. Now, maybe we could just supplement or replace the missing bacteria, and if that doesn't work, we can, replace the bacteria on an ongoing basis, probiotic basis. Sometimes you can replace it and put it in the right place, and the right living bacteria, it'll just take up residence again. It depends on what the source of the reason it was destroyed in the first place. We'll talk about that later. Well, maybe we will, maybe we won't, who knows. But you might have to just continuously supplement. Now, or just give the enzyme, no probiotic. You don't have to worry about the probiotic making the enzyme. You might be able to just add the enzyme. Priority one, though, the first thing that has to be done, we need a fecal bacteria database for everybody, because everybody is subject to the same thing. Cancer is caused by invasion. We all know that. Every organ has its own type of cancer, so it has its own type of chemistry. These are things that are not that hard to understand. It's just that it hasn't been understood in this way. All right, so Roger at mudfossils.com. I would love to work with Secretary Kennedy, President Trump, any of them. They're talking about autism and all these childhood diseases. Well, if the kids don't have the right bacteria to digest the food properly and make the enzymes, they're going to have trouble, and especially when they shoot them up with these live these live viruses, and they don't have the bacteria to fight back. Well, because you're supposed to have enough bacteria to fight back to make you immune. And most kids do. That's the beauty of vaccine. It works when it works. But it can go bad if you don't have the ability to even put up a good defense against it. If you can put up a defense against what they're invading you with, there's no issue. But if you can't, then you got problems. And the only way that I can think of that we could start to look down this road is what's in the lymph fluids would be a good place to look, and what is in the fecal matter. What bacteria are you shedding off, which is coming through your digestive system? And between the two of those, we should get a pretty good idea of what you're digesting, how you're digesting, and what kind of enzymes are floating around.